It's amazing to meet you. It is simply extraordinary. Maybe this will all make sense if I explain who I am. My name is Dr. Ellie Staple, and I'm a psychiatrist. My work concerns a particular type of delusion of grandeur. It's a growing field. I specialize in those individuals who believe they are superheroes.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 37 of the DNA Film Wars podcast. Today we are discussing the film Glass, directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
And written by M. Night Shyamalan.
And starring James McAvoy.
As everyone. No.
Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, Anya Taylor-Joy, Sarah Paulson, and Spencer Tree Clark, and Charlayne Woodard.
As our main characters there.
Yep, there's 6 of them.
If you count all of his personalities, there's about
20
different characters now.
Alright, Dylan, so we just walked out of this film. What are your initial thoughts?
I mean, I enjoyed this movie. The first 2 acts are actually pretty dang good. I thoroughly enjoyed the first 2 acts. But the third act and the finale of the movie, it just kind of disappointed me. It wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, especially coming out of this now trilogy of M. Night Shyamalan quote-unquote superhero films. Unbreakable is excellent. It's really, really amazing, I think. Split is even better, in my opinion. I think that James McAvoy is incredibly amazing and excellent in that film. But the finale of this film just doesn't wrap up that trilogy in a way that I feel like is very satisfying. But I guess we'll get into that.
Alright, yeah, so, like you said, I think the first act of this movie is really good. The second act, I like the second act. I think there are a couple of logic issues with the second act, but overall, I really like the second act. The third act, I'm not going to say I hated it. There are some things they did that as in M. Night Shyamalan, he did that I liked, and there are some things that I really didn't like. And, of course, we'll get into those. So, I guess we'll just kind of start at the beginning with this first act here. So in the first act is really the David Dunn story. Yeah. We open up the movie with James McAvoy as the Horde. He's kidnapped these cheerleaders. I guess they're cheerleaders.
Yeah.
He has them in this old abandoned factory. We reintroduce ourselves to David Dunn. Him and his son they run a security firm. But during the day, David goes out on walks where he intentionally bumps into people to try to
see if they're bad people.
Bad people or whatever.
I guess they explained it as he's looking for the Horde.
Yeah, he's looking for the Horde.
And he's bumping into people and
he goes to these. So the first really big scene we have is he goes to these 2 teens' house
who have just
they just film themselves going up and punching people,
punching a guy in the face, on the street.
Superman punch. And he walks in and he beats him up,
as Bruce Willis does, as his character.
Yeah. And Bruce Willis, who David Dunn is now referred to as the Overseer.
The Overseer, or I guess the other one they had was like the
Tiptoer.
The Tiptoer, which he didn't like,
joke.
and then there was the Green something.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
Because he wears a green poncho, but
yeah.
But the Overseer.
So far, I'm really liking this movie.
It's interesting.
It feels like I could see like the natural progression from Unbreakable.
Like this is where he is.
Yeah, this is where he is. He's about 20 years older.
He's using his skills to try what he thinks to help people, and he's done it in a way of kind of trying to hide it as a security company. But
yeah,
I mean, obviously, if you've seen the other movies, you know it's true motive. So.
Yeah, and also in this first act, we have our obligatory M. Night Shyamalan cameo at the security,
who is technically reprising a character that he played in Unbreakable, who he bumps into at the football stadium, which he actually mentions. He's like, "Hey, do I know you?"
Yeah.
And Bruce Willis is like staring at him kind of awkwardly, and M. Night's like, you used to work at a football stadium. You were security at a football stadium. I bumped into you about 20 years ago or something like that. He said, I used to run around with some shady people back then, but I got my life better.
I feel like that was kind of a meta message.
It was. He's like, I've had some rough movies, guys. I'm sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
Please take this one.
But I mean, I'm all liking this. So then we'll get to the big major, I guess the climax of the first act, if you want to call it that, where we have our showdown between David Dunn and the Horde.
I guess during that scene, he decides to go on a walk. The scene with him,
Yeah.
he decides to go on a quote unquote another walk, and his son communicates with him through I guess an earpiece that he has and a microphone. And so he's walking down the street and he's bumping into people in this factory district because his son and him have just had a conversation about that's where they think he might be hiding.
So we're not even 20 minutes into this movie, and
We have our first confrontation.
Yeah, all the Shyamalan fans have been waiting for this since that Bruce Willis cameo at the end of Split, the showdown, and we get it really early. I mean, it's interesting. They have a little bit of a tussle here.
Jump out a window.
It's obvious that they're kind of evenly matched. They jump out a window, and
Then Sarah Paulson shows up.
Sarah Paulson shows up, and she has them surrounded.
And she's flashing lights at
Flashing
Kevin.
lights at Kevin to make you
Beast
cycle
go away.
through his personalities.
Which becomes a plot point, I guess, kind of.
And she basically just tells David, you can get out of this, but you're going to have to hurt a lot of cops to do it, so just come with us peacefully. So then we get into the second act of this movie, which is the insane asylum portion.
Kind of focuses mostly on Kevin.
Which is what most of the trailers played this movie out to be, was this insane asylum movie right here.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought most of the movie was gonna take place they had captured
a lot of it
David.
does. A lot of it does.
I guess the good majority of it does take place in this, but I thought what I had gathered from the trailers originally when I first saw them was David was already captured, and the first 2/3 of the movie would have taken place in the insane asylum.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
That's what I thought, and they were gonna try to work out this thing and try to convince these people that they're not superheroes. And then we would get all of our action and confrontation.
I thought the
end.
cheerleader thing and everything would be at the end.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Not the first scene.
Yeah, so we get to this insane asylum. Like I said, so far I've been really liking this movie. So we get to this insane asylum. I was intrigued by the trailers about this part.
How they were gonna play it out.
I think most of it goes all right. You know, they get in the insane asylum. She has these traps or whatever you want to call them.
There's ways to prevent them from escaping in because she knows their weaknesses or whatever.
Yeah. So she has the lights in Kevin's room, and she has the water hoses.
Yeah, for David, she's got water hoses
and basically just big sprinklers in his room. But so far, and then because Mr. Glass, I'm assuming, has already been committed to some asylum, she has him transferred to her.
I believe he's already there. From
there?
what I understand and what I gathered, this is the insane asylum that they took him to at the end of Unbreakable when he was arrested.
Okay.
They took him here, and she just happened to come in and take over.
Oh, okay.
And she became his patient because she said she didn't like the way they were treating him before she showed up.
Okay.
That's my guess.
So he's there too.
He's been there for probably close to 20 years.
And he has, which is my first logic problem here. Which I guess it's kind of explained. It's like he's been here 20 years. Why is he just now decided?
Escape.
I take that back because she did say she didn't like the way they'd be treating him. So I'm guessing when she took over, they were more lax on their watches. I guess. I mean, it's not a big problem, but I would think if he's so smart, he could.
Well, apparently they've been keeping him sedated for 20 years to try to keep him at bay. It's explained in one scene that early on into his time here at this institution, he memorized an electrician's blueprint or a schematic for the wiring system in the entire hospital and was able to short circuit it and shut down the power for the entire hospital. Yeah. Which I guess is pretty clever. And I
guess also one of the reasons that he's doing it now is because seeing David Dunn back and seeing the Horde, he's reignited his passion to prove to the world that
superheroes do exist.
Superheroes exist. I'm gonna say I really like the idea that Shyamalan goes for in this second act of, are they really superheroes? Are they not?
Or is this all in their head?
Yeah, I really like the things that he.
And I think there were some really great scenes in there. I really thoroughly enjoyed that scene with Sarah Paulson, and she's got all three of them sitting there in the same room, and she's interrogating them almost like a police officer, and I'm like, wow, that's a really great scene. She's trying to convince these people that they're not who they are, that they're not these super human beings. I think the way that she acts toward David is really good. But
yeah, I agree. I really like all of that interaction. I like some of the scenes when the Horde is interacting with some of the guards are funny and they're kind of I really like them.
One of the first scenes where you see one of the different personalities while he's in the hospital, he's one of his personalities is a girl named Jade, and he's like laying on the floor, and
he has diabetes, and
he has and this I guess personality of his happens to have diabetes or diabetes. Diabetes has diabetes, and she's like tricking him into grabbing this syringe so she can take her insulin, and it's really funny because she's like hitting on this guard the entire time, and it was funny.
Yeah, it was.
There's some great scenes with the horde in it.
And I really like the moment where the what is her name? Well, Casey, the girl that he kidnapped and let go in the end split, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. I really like the scene where she comes in.
I like the fact that she came back. I was hoping that she wouldn't just be like a useless character in this movie.
I like the idea again that Shyamalan has here, that she takes pity on some of the personalities inside this man, even though
you could almost consider it Stockholm syndrome to a degree, which some people might find odd, but at the same time, she did realize that they were like compassionate personalities.
But they were totally different people.
Yeah,
they weren't the same people. I like that idea that he plays with here. Like I said, I like a lot of stuff in the second act. So then we get, I guess, towards the end of the second act where
we start to come up with this plan.
Mr. Glass has this plan going in motion, and he goes and he visits the beast, or the horde. He's not the beast at this point, and he basically says, if you still believe in the beast, come meet me tomorrow at night, and we'll break out of here.
Break out.
And so then he sets up this elaborate plan. He actually gets drugged. Like, they see him on the cameras, and he gets drugged.
And this procedure that Sarah Paulson described to him earlier, they take him and decide to do this procedure, but it's, I guess it's...
But then, like, the next
he gets out of it, which is, I guess, another logic issue that Aaron has.
I want to kind of walk through this next scene. So this next scene, I don't know about the very next scene, but a couple scenes down the road. Anyway, one of the guards goes into his room. Mr. Glass is just sitting there, like, he's all messed up. And the guard sits down in front of him. He makes a comment about how the pictures are crooked. Well, because the reason they're crooked is because as soon as he says that, Samuel Jackson takes a shard of glass, presumably from the picture frames, and slices the guy's neck with it. Which is a cool twist, cool scene right there. But I'm still not quite sure how he got out of the procedure. Apparently he got out of his room at one point. He went into the operating room and switched out like the glass, the magnifying glass that the laser went through or something. I mean, maybe I'm just not catching the whole thing. I was like, okay, I guess I'll buy it. I don't know why they didn't realize the procedure wasn't working during the procedure, but okay, whatever. And then, like, later down the road, I realized, like, they don't have people monitoring these security cameras 24/7.
No.
Like, what's the point in security cameras?
I guess you're just supposed to accept the fact that this is a specific wing of the hospital, and I guess you're supposed to assume
maybe they're understaffed and they can't.
Or Sarah Paulson's like controlling this whole entire operation in this wing, so they only have those specific people on staff.
We'll get to the big plot twist at the later, but even if she's like the one controlling this whole entire operation, she would still want. I mean, her end goal. She would still want someone watching them. Her end goal is not for them to be doing all this. It's for them not to be doing all this. So, I was kind of, okay, whatever. And then, like, the flashing lights, I felt like one of the horde's personalities could have figured out, hey, why don't I just, like, cover my eyes?
But it's whatever.
But whatever, it's whatever. But like I said, overall, although there are a couple logic issues, I like the second act.
It's really good. It's definitely I think it's probably the best act of the film.
I felt like this should have been the entire movie.
Some people, from some of the reviews that we've seen and read for it, some people complain that it's slow, which it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I talked about in my Unbreakable review that I thought that Unbreakable was a good idea with poor execution, but it wasn't because that film was. I said a lot of it was because nothing ever happened. Like, literally, ever.
Well, that film, it's a slow film, too. I mean, there's only, all this build-up in that film for one short scene where he takes out this guy.
But it's not... I did not like that film because it was slow. I can enjoy slow movies. I thought that some of the relationships that they establish and some of the things that they do was kind of stupid. But I don't mind the slow-moving second act. I think that the ideas that Shyamalan is going for in the second act are better executed than the ideas and grander than the ideas he had for Unbreakable. But like I said, I like the second act. I like all the themes of like, are they superheroes? Are they not?
It's a really good part of it.
But then we get to this third act,
and this is where it kind of falls apart for me. And this is supposed to be like Mr. Glass's act. It's supposed to be his part of the film.
He's basically non-existent in the first half.
It's the weakest part of the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's
which is upsetting because it's his movie. It's supposed to be his movie.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess. And first of all, I will say that I think Mr. Glass, by the time the movie's said and done, probably has the least amount of screen time of our three main characters. Because like I said, in the first half of this movie,
he doesn't speak a line until the very end of the second act.
Yeah,
when he goes and talks to Kevin.
Yeah, he's like a non-factor basically. Then for the second act, they kind of push Bruce Willis's character to the side. I mean, this is a split sequel more than anything else.
Yeah.
This is still James McAvoy's movie from beginning to end, I think. And his performance, let's talk about the performances here a little bit before we get into this third act. I think
James McAvoy is amazing.
McAvoy is amazing. Bruce Willis, I'm not going to say he deserves an Oscar or anything, but I'm glad
it's some of the better acting I've seen him do in a long time.
For a long time, yeah. He didn't mail this. I was kind of surprised that I feel like he took this role seriously. Maybe it's because he respects M. Night Shyamalan for basically, Shyamalan gave Bruce Willis his best movie in The Sixth Sense. So he devotes himself to this role. I
think Samuel L. Jackson also is when he finally, even before he finally speaks, but once he starts speaking, you're like, oh man, that's Elijah Price from Unbreakable.
The three big supporting characters are David Dunn's son,
played by the original actor who played his son in the original film, and Spencer Treat Clark.
Yeah, he's good enough.
I think he's a lot better in this movie than he was when he was a child. And I guess I said this in my Unbreakable film and our Unbreakable review. I didn't care for his performance in that film. Kind of comes off as obnoxious, a little bit annoying.
Yeah,
to me.
I mean,
he's a lot better in this.
Anya Taylor-Joy,
but he's 20 years older.
Anya Taylor-Joy, she's good in everything I see her in. Yeah. And then
Sarah Paulson.
Sarah Paulson is good. Comes off as creepy. Kind of sketchy. And then Mr. Glass's mom, played by Charlayne Woodard,
who also plays his mother in Unbreakable.
Yeah, who's actually 7 years younger than Samuel L. Jackson.
They do some good makeup and costume work to make her appear older.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson looks young. I'll give it to him. He
doesn't look old.
He doesn't look old. So
he
kind of looks old in this movie because of that hairdo, that wig they give him. But
I gotta go back to James McAvoy though. His performance in this film is. It's spectacular.
It's good. Just as good as it was.
It's just as good as it is in Split. There's one scene specifically that I guess we talked about in our Split review. There's a scene toward the end of the film where he's just cycling through all these different personalities, and
he does that a lot in this.
It's an amazing scene, and I'm just like, wow, this man's so talented to be able to switch through. Basically, he's playing completely different characters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, he does that even more in this film.
He does that like 4 or 5 times in this movie.
He just cycles through a bunch of different characters, and you're like, wow.
I'm like, wow, that's impressive. The only part and this wasn't his fault, there's a part in the third act that we're about to talk about where he just kind of sits there and roars like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, I was like,
That's kind of goofy. That wasn't well staged. But anyway, so speaking of the third act,
let's get into it.
Okay, so it starts off, of course,
we get the breakout.
Samuel L. and James McAvoy, they break out. Mr. Glass and the Horde, they break out of the little insane asylum there. They go out into this courtyard area. Bruce Willis, he breaks out. He regains his faith in his powers, and he's able to break down this steel door.
This giant steel door.
And he gets out there, and they
have our showdown.
Yeah, they get into this fight. And first of all, I'm glad because Unbreakable, one of the things I liked about it was a down to earth, like the most down to earth superhero movie.
Like really grounded.
Really grounded. Like
you thought like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy was grounded. Like this is grounded.
This is grounded. And I really like how we don't have they talk about having this big climax in this super tall building like a generic superhero movie.
At the very end of the second act, we get our setup for what is going to come in the third act, or what we believe is going to come in the third act, and we have obviously the beginning of this breakout scene where Elijah goes and breaks the beast out and tells him he's an avenging angel or whatever, like you see in the trailers. And we see a scene where Elijah goes and types some stuff on the computer, which will come into play here in a little bit. We see a lot of different things like that in a setup for this, and we are led to believe that he and the Beast and David Dunn are all going to go to this new the tallest building in Philadelphia that's getting ready to open. They're going to go have this huge showdown in front of the cameras there, but we find out otherwise.
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't have that big mega superhero showdown on top of the tallest building in the world or whatever.
Yeah, because it would have like taken me. I think it would have taken me out of the movie, considering the fact that how grounded this is supposed to be.
So I really like the it's contained to this courtyard. Where I have problems. Here we go. So of course it's Shyamalan. We gotta have.
So he Shyamalans it up.
We Shyamalan this thing up real good. There's 3 twists at the end of this movie. None of them as groundbreaking as Bruce Willis being split. But,
or Bruce Willis actually being dead the entire time in The Sixth Sense.
Nothing groundbreaking like that. So the first twist we discover is that,
which is kind of a serious retcon or like afterthought,
is that Kevin Crumb's father was on the train
that Bruce Willis was on,
because they've said that Kevin Wendell Crumb's father left him with his mother, and that's why he became the person he is. But it turns out he was. I'm assuming he was a decent, good dad. And he was on this train.
Originally what he was trying to do, he was in the city, in New York City, trying to find treatment for his wife.
Yeah.
Because his wife was abusive toward their son.
Yeah.
He was trying to find treatment for her, and he ended up on the same train as Bruce Willis, and he died.
So what my problem with this is that up until this point, I think that Shyamalan has done a good job of integrating these two completely separate films, Unbreakable and Split, and making them feel like they're part of the same universe. Organically would be the word, without too many okay, that's kind of forced. This plot twist was forced. This was a retcon hardcore. I did not like.
He's just trying to find a way. I think what he was trying to do is trying to find a way to give the Beasts some reason for existence, and the fact that his dad left. We understand that his dad left, and his mother abusing him is what caused the Beast to become a personality of his. And I think that this was really what it was trying to do was trying to connect these two movies, but also giving the Beast a reason to exist.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. I just feel like it was forced. I don't think that was the way to go about it.
It wasn't great. I mean, I kind of was like, okay, I guess.
It's better than what I thought. I was thinking they were going to do something really stupid.
I didn't think they were going to go with that.
And have Bruce Willis be his dad, his illegitimate father.
I didn't think that was going to be a thing. Which, I mean, I guess it could be a thing since they had marital problems.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. They had marital problems. He had an affair, but
supposedly.
I don't know. Yeah, and he had an affair around that time. But then the age wouldn't, because then he would. James McAvoy would be kind of too old, I guess, at that point.
Well, it's not really ever said how old he is, though. So
yeah, and it's not really. Well, he was a little boy at the same time when that train crash we see him. He's about the same age.
It's just David.
But I mean, we don't know. I guess we never really knew how long they were having marital problems either. So, but he did tell her in the movie Unbreakable that he hadn't been with anyone since they started having problems, and I felt like he was being sincere when he said that. So then I'd have had problems with that. But that would have been a bad place to go. So I'm glad they didn't do that, but I still don't like what they did with this. So that's problem number 1. Twist number 2, I also have a big problem with.
Twist number 2 is kind of out there, and I think at one point I leaned over to you, which I'll tell you here in a second. Point number 2, or I guess our plot twist number 2, is that Sarah Paulson is part of this evil organization that
they're not evil. They're neutral.
They're neutral, yeah, sorry. They're part of this organization that is trying to keep superheroes from exposing themselves to the world. That way more people will not get the idea to expose themselves as well.
Yeah. And the problem I have with this, first of all, I was confused, because, they have these little clover
have we seen that before?
I was afraid I was missing, this was supposed to be from one of his old movies, and I was missing something, because I haven't seen all of them. But I don't think it is. I think it's part of this organization. The reason I don't like this, like I said a while ago, the reason I liked Unbreakable because it was a grounded superhero movie. This movie, up until this point, has been a pretty grounded superhero movie, up to the point where they're even trying to convince you that superheroes aren't real. The fact that there's this big, evil, grand organization that's trying to keep these superheroes from exposing themselves is kind of out there. And doesn't really jive with the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and there's a one point where she says something, which is the comment that I leaned over to Aaron and made. There's one point where David has had his confrontation with the Beast, and they end up fighting in this big water tank, which was connected to his sprinklers in his room. And they bust out of it, and it fills up this pothole, and then one of Sarah Paulson's character's men, starts drowning him in this puddle. Well, she comes over and talks to him, and she reaches out, and he grabs her hand, and he sees this flashback where we find out that she's a part of this organization or whatever. And then she says some line about the fact that superheroes being exposed is what's going to keep the world balanced. And I was like, Thanos, is that you?
Yeah, I thought that scene was kind of forced for us to be able to get this backstory. Like, she has her guy sitting there literally drowning him. She's like, grab my hand. Just so he could see what they were doing. I was like, by that point, does it really matter whether he knows the truth or not? I don't know, but whatever. But, and there's also a line in the trailer that I kind of like that she didn't say here. She says, in the trailer, if you've seen it, she says, we're not meant to have this much power. I like that line, and I know exactly where it was said, like, before they cut it. It was when she was talking to Elijah. But they cut it out of the movie. I was kind of disappointed. I thought that was one of the better lines she delivered. But anyway, then she goes over and talks to Elijah, who has been beaten up by the Beast because the Beast figured out that...
he basically was responsible for killing his father.
Killing Kevin's dad. So, and, she tells him basically, you were right, superhumans do exist.
And here's why I'm here.
Exposition Central right here, Sarah Paulson. I don't really like this twist, but the third twist...
Which is probably the best the best twist of the movie.
It's the best twist. I'm not sure if I still really love it. Is that
I'm okay with it.
Mr. Glass
bother me a whole lot.
Really did have them all outsmarted. He figured something like this would happen. He did not think he would get to that.
We get a flashback of where an earlier scene in the film where Sarah Paulson's explaining that she has these cameras like posted in like each of the rooms, all around the building, outside. Well, he wanted to expose superheroes to the world, so we find out that during this breakout scene and what I told you about at the end of the second act where he goes and he messes with his computer and you see him typing some code, well, he has set up a live stream that has recorded all this and uploaded it to a website or to an email file that has been emailed to Casey and his mother and Joseph, who's David's son. We find out that he knew Sarah Paulson's plan all along and that it was a suicide mission and he knew that he was going to die, that everyone was going to die. Which, spoiler, everyone dies in the film.
Well, the three main characters.
The three main characters of David, Elijah, and Kevin, they all die. Mm-hmm. But we get this explanation that he knew about it all the whole time, that he knew that they were going to die, and he was still going to find a way to expose them, and that's how he did it.
So he emailed the video file to the three supporting characters, David's son, his mom, and Anya Taylor-Joy.
Who then posted to YouTube.
And
shared everywhere.
Which, okay, one of my issues here is that we're supposed to feel sorry for Elijah's mom, but Elijah's mom is like, I don't ever get the feeling that she believes what her son did was wrong.
She never said the line that she said in the trailer, too. They always underestimate the mastermind.
I like that line. But, yeah, I never got the feeling, like, she says something about what he did wasn't right, but I never get the true feeling that she felt like what he did was wrong. But he killed a lot of people, and so
hundreds.
I don't really understand why I'm supposed to feel sorry for her character, and I feel like we're supposed to by the end of this movie, and I don't, which is a problem. But whatever.
It is what it is.
So yeah, basically,
that's our third twist. We find out that he's found a way to get their message out there.
So basically, I thought the third act was a mixed bag, more bad than good.
It had me for. No pun intended, had me split.
Had you split. There you go. Had me shattered.
Like glass?
Like glass.
Sorry, we're horrible.
Yeah, bad. We'll stop now. I couldn't think of one for David Dunn.
I can't think of one either.
It was an unbreakable film until the third act.
Oof.
No.
That was bad.
That
one was not good.
Okay, we'll stop now. So, I guess, is there anything else you wanted to talk about this movie here?
I guess we could go...
Oh, yeah, there's one thing I did want to say. Concerning the soundtrack. I like the soundtrack for Unbreakable. I don't think it's
the score that James Newton Howard did in the original film is really good.
Yeah, it's a really solid score. Split, like the little noises, like every time that he does, like kind of like a horror movie style score here.
And there's some music in there too that's very reminiscent of Unbreakable too, like especially toward the end credits.
Yeah. But most of the score is derived from Split, because it's from the same composer whose name I do not have in front of me, who did Split. So of course he takes a lot of cues from his Split score. There's a couple of callbacks to Unbreakable, but I was kind of disappointed because I think Unbreakable had a better score than Split. That's one of the few areas I thought Unbreakable was better than Split.
Yeah.
But whatever. So
yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I think M. Night Shyamalan. I mean, let's talk about his direction in this film, I guess.
So basically, I'll say this right here. This film is basically a summary of his career. It's like, oh, this is really good. Oh, this is really good. Oh, what is that?
What is that? I think he had a lot of potential with this film, and he accomplished that for the most part. But I think one of the best ways I've had it, or I think we heard it, was from a review by Jeremy Johns, where he said it looks like there were 3 different ideas going through his head at the time of trying to make this film, and he made each of those 3 ideas an act. And he didn't have a super cohesive way of combining these 3, and so each one of them kind of feels like their own story, and the weakest part is the third act.
Yeah. I can't remember if I said this in the Unbreakable review or not, but my thing with M. Night Shyamalan is I think he's a guy that has really interesting ideas, but when he goes to turn them into feature-length movies,
sometimes
I think
they don't quite make it there.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, he's had some great successes. I mean, I think
Sixth Sense is really good.
Sixth Sense is amazing.
It's his best movie by far.
I think Signs isn't bad.
Signs is good until the end.
And then, I mean, Split is excellent.
Good. Split is really good.
I think he had a big, that big downfall where he did like The Village, Lady in the Water, The Last Airbender.
Oh, God, that movie's terrible.
We won't talk about those. But he kind of got back on track with a film that he did called The Visit, which wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
And then Split came out, and everyone was like blown away by that, especially after the twist. And then we all had, a lot leading up to, oh my gosh, Glass is going to come out. It's a 19-year story arc that we've been waiting for.
Well, a lot of people, Shyamalan fans. I don't know how many people there are like that, but I'm not.
But, I mean,
I wouldn't call myself a Shyamalan fan. I'm just like, I know who he is.
I like some of his movies.
I like some of his movies. I hate some of his movies.
Which I think is most people. Yeah. I think even Shyamalan fans don't like his worst movies. I think they hate him.
I don't even think Shyamalan likes his worst movies.
He probably doesn't.
And
he probably knows they're bad.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, when you watch The Last Airbender, that movie is...
It's bad.
Total garbage. Like, you would think that would be like... You wouldn't know that was, by that point, a somewhat seasoned director making that movie. I just would like to... I haven't read much into the backstory of the filming of that movie. I just wonder how invested Shyamalan was, because if he was invested and that's what he came out with, that's bad.
But I mean, his direction in this film overall, I mean, I think it's good. I think he did a really good job with it. I mean, it's very well. That's fair. But I guess it's more credit to the writing.
That's him too.
Which is also him.
I mean, it is all him.
But his direction, not his writing, is
his
good.
Direction is
pretty good.
There's a couple of scenes where they do like this GoPro style.
I didn't care for that.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of to hide the fact that Bruce Willis couldn't do a lot of stunts. But to have them like fighting still at the same time, I didn't really care for that.
Good use of color. I mean, obviously we get Glass's purple.
We get purple.
David's green and
green,
pink, yellow,
pink, like the red clay, the red at the beginning.
Yellow.
Yeah, it's very colorful. I like it.
But his writing is where it falls short in that third act.
The writing falls short in the third act, I definitely agree. So, I guess...
I think he did a pretty good job with the fight sequences, minus the GoPro stuff.
Minus the GoPro stuff, I thought the fight sequences were well done. They weren't over the top.
They were grounded.
They were grounded. I liked the fight sequences for the most part. I think they were done really well. But, so, I think we need to get
Let's go ahead and give our final thoughts.
What
are your final thoughts on this?
My final thought, summarizing final thoughts. First act, really good. Second act, pretty good. Third act, not that good. I think it's the weakest entry in the trilogy.
Yeah.
Quote unquote trilogy. But that's not to say it's bad. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's definitely better than, I'd say, at least half of his other works. So if I have to give it a score in stars, I would say, I'm going to say 3 sedated Mr. Glasses out of 5.
All right. I mean, I'm pretty much on the same page as you. This film, it's a mixed bag. The first 2 acts are really good, and I think that second act is where it really excels, even though some people would argue that it's a slow part of the movie. And that third act is where it falls apart for me, and I think a lot of people that I've heard talk about the film is where it falls apart for them. But other than that, I mean, the acting in this film is, especially on James McAvoy's part, is exceptional. Bruce Willis isn't bad, Samuel L. is not bad, and everyone does a pretty good job. But you gotta knock it for M. Night Shyamalan in that third act. So I mean, if I gotta grade it on our scale, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a I mean, I enjoyed the film. Just that third act wasn't great. So I'll give it 3 out of his 24 different personalities. I'll give it three personalities of Kevin Wendell Crumb.
All right.
Even though we don't have a scale of 24, but it's whatever. 3 personalities.
All right.
Or 3 unbreakable David Dunns, whichever you prefer.
With that all being said, I guess what do we got? What do we got coming up?
Here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure. I haven't made a mistake in a while. Obviously, next month we will continue our Star Wars retrospective look back thing with.
We'll have to come with a better name for that.
Of the Clones.
Keep a lookout for that.
Ew. Okay.
Anyway, so as always, we got to cap off this episode. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug our social medias. We are up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find us at DNA Film Wars, all lowercase, no space, on all those platforms. So give us a like or a follow.
Yep, and if you have any specific questions and or comments, you can contact us at dnafilmwars@gmail.com. If you want to leave us a review, 5 stars preferably, we are up on all major podcatching services.
We are also up on YouTube with our audio files, so keep a lookout for those.
Yep. I hope to get on a more regular schedule this year.
I think we decided that we were, because we know that some of these videos are coming a little bit late. We got on. I think we overwhelmed ourselves with how much content we were trying to produce.
Yeah.
And we decided that 3, sometimes even 4 episodes a week is way too much. So we're gonna try to cut it down to 1 movie a week, maybe 2 if it's like a week that we want to do 2 weeks.
I've been thinking about our discussion episodes.
We might try to wrap them into our regular episodes.
Yeah, because my goal right now, because like I said, I've got way behind. We're still way behind. This episode is probably being recorded quite some time before you're hearing it. I feel like we need to...
As of right now, it is January the 20th, so let us know when you're hearing this episode.
I feel like we need to really try to cut ourselves down to 1 episode a week, period.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I'd love to do a discussion episode, I don't think our discussion episodes are getting as many listens as our reviews.
They're not.
So if we can find a way to...
we might throw in a top 5, like, just within
throw in a top 5, because sometimes coming up with a top 5 for some of these movies that we're doing is kind of hard to do. Like, our thought process for this film was we could do a top 5 M. Night Shyamalan films, but I don't know that I have 5 M. Night Shyamalan films that I can rate in the top 5. I mean, obviously, The Sixth Sense is going to be at the top, probably followed by Split, Unbreakable, and then after that, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, I'd say
some of those movies are bad.
Shyamalan's best film by far is still The Sixth Sense, followed not too distantly by Split, then Unbreakable.
And,
No. I don't know. I'd say Signs, then Unbreakable.
I like Unbreakable more than Signs.
I'd say Signs, Unbreakable, and then maybe this one. I'm not sure. I haven't seen The Village or The Visitor, and of course, at the very bottom would be The Last Airbender.
Oof.
I have seen Lady in the Water, but it's been a really long time. But I remember thinking it wasn't that good.
But I mean, overall, good movie, but disappointing ending.
Yeah, good movie with a disappointing ending. That's the best way to summarize it. So, as always, thank you for listening. I'm Aaron.
I'm Dylan, and we'll catch you in the next one.
I've been waiting for the world to see that we exist. May I meet the beast? I hope for your sake that he likes you. That sounds like the bad guys teaming up. A lot of people are going to die. Don't do this.